Hello, and we're back with another video on another tip that we're going to talk about today that can help in your project to be weeds gone in this natural growing cycle of vegetable gardening. You know, we've covered a lot of ground up to this point. You know, we talked about no meddling in the soil and how important it is that we keep the growing cycle intact, and just a lot of information. So, you know, to have weeds gone, it's really a simple process. Very simple. We talked about, you know, by meddling in the soil, it helps to bring those weed seeds to the top, and by eliminating that tillage process of any sort, so we should be eliminating that. But there's one step we have to go a little bit further on, and that's what we call an armor layer. And it's cover. We never leave the soil exposed bare. And there's a variety of reasons we want to do that we won't talk about today, but that whole thing just helps to build so that, well, the most important thing here that you want to know about is that it eliminates the weed pressure. The weeds are gone. Back here is a project that we started, you know, we started doing this 3 years ago, and then it's funny how fast it just disappears. We put cover on this and it's gone. And you know, we're just building soil here. We're seeing how fast we can do it, because the first year, you know, we basically can't grow anything in this river sand. It's a complete failure. So, you know, this is grass underneath. You can see some of it around these plants here where these guys have taken off, and there's a lot of grass that wants to grow. There's weeds in here. There's all kinds of stuff, and there's actually some that are poking through right now that we'll go in and do some touch-up work on. But you know, after a while, they give up. The neat part is letting it grow up, we got the root structure into the soil. We let those plants feed that soil, and now we're gonna smother them out. And so it'll break down in the soil, and then that soil can feed the plants we wanna plant in there, and then in turn, they'll start feeding the soil again. So it's that complete cycle. But it all started with the cover. The cover we put on it. And you know, we could go in and put a biodegradable mat on. I've done some of that, but the whole thing is that mat doesn't feed the soil. I've used cardboard. I've done a lot of things as far as armor layer, but I like using carbon that's from plants, because that's what is food for our life beneath the surface of the soil. So, you know, in the last video, I talked about I was going to share kind of another story behind Grandpa's, and this is about a friend of mine. It's about his grandpa, and he had it wrote in a journal, and he had the same thing. He got his 160 acres of ground, and he went and he tilled 80 acres of it. He broke that cycle, and he seeded it to oats. And Daryl's reading this at a conference out of this journal that his grandfather wrote, and that summer his grandpa built a 10,000 bushel granary to hold not only that crop, but he figured when he broke the entire 160 acres, he'd have enough room. Well, lo and behold, that fall, he filled that 10,000 bushel granary with oats to the brim. And so it's like, wow, what a crop. The rest of the story that's wrote after that, the years that followed that, he was never able to fill that granary again off that same 80 acres. And why? Because he broke that growing cycle. And it all got used up in the 1 year, and then it was gone. And the only way to get it back, you know, there was years and years, and this is what I was talking about with the native prairie, about how important or what we can learn from it. So it's a story that I think about quite often. Be on the lookout, because in a couple days I got something that I'm going to share with you that I think you're really, really going to enjoy. It's a pretty exciting place that we're going to be traveling to. I don't want to reveal too much on it, but I want you to be on the lookout for it, because I'm really, really excited to be able to share it with you. So with that, we'll talk to you again in a couple days.